Welcome back to our Irish wake for Futurama on Nerdist. You just saw the Comedy Central broadcast of the series finale of Futurama. Oh God, Maurice! Ah, buddy, come on! Maurice LaMarche is inconsolable. So we will laugh at his sorrow. Let me introduce. Let's start. We are back with David X. Cohen and Matt Groening are here for more. And we are also joined by the voice of Morbo, Maurice LaMarche, friend and Canadian. Be okay. Also co-executive producer Patrick Verone. And the voice of Fry, among others, Mr. Billy West himself. My first question is to Matt. With going off the show, how will you make ends meet? Are you worried about where your next meal is coming from?
You know, I spent all my money on lottery tickets, and yeah, it's going to be tough. No, I've got a job. Yeah, I'm going back to the other show.
Okay, all right.
Must be nice.
So what was it?
Why do you think I'm wearing black? I'm mourning the death of my career.
No, it's not. Come on.
All right, I'm going to start crying like him.
No, that's all right.
All right.
I'm kind of curious because we talked a little about it before we went to the episode. What was it that you kind of wanted to get across with the finale? What was your ultimate message?
Now from experience, the best formula we find for a series-ending episode is the...
Now that you've had a few swings at bat.
The grand sci-fi story with the actual touching emotional story on top of it. So if we manage to pull both of them off at the same time, that's a good series ender. This time, obviously, we went a little further with the Fry-Leela wedding because it's a little harder to back out of that. If we ever come back and say like, "Oh, Fry and Leela have gone their separate ways," people might get mad. So our backs are up against the wall, or we're stuck in the corner, or whatever the correct metaphor is. If we ever come back, but
it's the only finale that's open-ended.
It's actually a pitch for a domestic comedy set in the future. Everybody loves Fry.
Get busy.
Was it? Was it? There's actually one of the questions. A lot of the questions that we got was any of it emotional? Was any of it sort of? Would you feel sad? Did you feel relief? Did you feel? What were you feeling when you guys were putting together the finale?
Yeah, there was sadness. I mean, even at the time we were writing it, we thought it would be the end. We weren't quite sure. So, there's a little bit of dread. There's also, animation is really hard. It's very time-consuming, and no one worked harder on the show than Patrick Verone. And then David Cohen.
You meant him.
And Patrick Verone. And so I think that there's a little bit of relief about taking a little time off.
Yeah, it's not that bad to be canceled once in a while. I shouldn't say that, but we worked so hard on the show. There's no hiatus on an animated show because as soon as if we finish writing the last episode, the earlier episodes are banging on the door in various stages of animation, demanding attention. So we never get a break. We work 12 months a year, and with the last 4 years on Comedy Central and the DVD movies before that, it's been 6 solid years of work for me and Patrick and a few of the writers, so it's not bad to get a little cancellation in now and then.
So what was the a cancellation is like a cold to you guys, like we'll be fine in a couple days, take some airborne, we'll be on somewhere else. What was the decision to make the episode solely Fry and Leela focused and not like tie up any of the ends of the other characters?
What we do, right?
What?
Can we talk about it now?
Yeah, it aired. Yeah, you can talk about it.
It's okay.
Yeah.
We killed him. Right?
What?
I don't know.
You didn't see this episode, did you?
Well, they're stuck forever, right?
No, but at the end, everybody goes back to the...
remember when you stormed out of...
show called Futurama that you should check out.
I leave during Act 4.
When you stormed out of the room that last time, we decided to do what we did.
I thought they didn't know.
No, at the end, everybody's going to be all right. That's fine. Everything's fine. Yeah. No, but
why have I been so sad?
I'll just say generally about one thing, obviously, it being last episode, we did go for a different pacing then.
Oh wait, I'm thinking of Lost. I'm sorry.
There's
They're all just waiting to cross over.
for the
They're all
people who just
waiting-
watched it. There's this long music montage that's like a minute or two long at the end of the show. We never do that. It's an eternity on an animated show to go a minute or two without speaking, and it's a Chopin piece that Ken Keeler, the writer, suggested for the spot, and it just lets you just sit back and think for a minute, even as the viewer, what these characters have been through. So it did have a different feel, I think, than most of our episodes, and that's what we're going for, to differentiate it a little bit.
I thought it was nice because I kind of feel like Fry got what he wanted ultimately. Like he
Death?
got no, like he got to spend his life with Leela, and then ultimately this possibility opens up that they get to go back and be with their friends again. And it seems like that's all he's really ever wanted, is just like this companionship and to fit in. Would you agree with that,
Well,
Billy?
it's a time release ending or something. You know, we just don't know if it ended. Right?
Yeah.
Is that the idea behind
We
that?
always, we know, again, one of the things that comes with practice is we know not to chop everyone's head off at the end, because you never know if you're going to need those characters next week.
I realized I was thinking of The Sopranos.
When Fry and Leland Bender are in the cafe, and then the camera just pulls back, and
There's
then you're
going
like,
to be another season. That's a spoiler.
let's take some questions from the internet. This is from Jacob Watts. How many times has Fry died?
Well, in this episode, splat, splat, splat,
I know.
splat, splat.
It's funny, like the meaning of that question changed so much during this episode, because he probably died 1,000 times in the episode tonight. We didn't see most of them on camera, but we saw a lot of them on camera. So I'd say about 1,000 and.
It's also complicated by the fact that there are multiple Fries in our universe.
Right.
And
there was the one
Lars.
who died.
Future
In the
Fry.
clip we showed, the time machine landing on the other Fry, he died. Anybody?
Yeah.
Everyone chime in with the dead Fry
There's all
story.
In the first movie, the one with the beard, I can't remember the characters.
Lars.
Lars. The
right.
Lars Fry died. We had. the rest of
Right,
them.
right. Yeah, it's all. Every time there's a time traveling Fry, you get Fry meets himself, and one of them has to die, or else, we don't have our sitcom reset at the end of the episode. So
I still can't get my mind around that. I just have no science ability or anything. So
Is it sad for you, like when you? Because obviously you can do the voice whenever you want because it's in your head. But is it sad for you to kind of like that officially that character is sort of going away?
Oh, absolutely. But it has a lot to do with many other things besides not doing the characters. It's like we've been doing this for so long. I've come to love everybody so very much and in awe of the abilities of all of you. And to me, that's what makes it kind of sad, because it's like,
Come over.
I hope so. I don't
my
know.
house.
Barbecue this weekend at my house.
Oh,
You come
yeah?
over, you do.
We'll open some
not
scripts.
really.
You're Irish, right? I'm Irish a little.
Do you? How many voices did you think you did throughout the run of the show?
Oh, unknown, really. I mean, I can't keep track of that kind of
Can we
stuff. I
just
can
list
watch
some of them. Just
Yeah, just go through and.
Fry
Greetings from the year 3000.
and the professor.
It still sucks. Good news, everyone. I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
Memes. Oh, and she's a beautiful ship, all right? I'm gonna fly her brains out. And
Kiff.
come on, Kiv. I thought you had more
all
to say
just-
than that.
Sir, the rest of the crew doesn't share your passion for velour.
Nonetheless. Zoidberg.
Nixon, Zoidberg.
Oh, Richard Nixon. You Herbie, get off the lawn. I mean it.
There must be times where there's just pages and pages and it's just all you, like
He's done the
basically acting
3-page run
against
where we
yourself.
just sat back and went,
And the Zoidberg part of me wants to know, like, why isn't it all Zoidberg? Why not that? It's a kind of, what, these guys, I stopped the room dead a couple of times, not because of my particular deliveries or anything. I got the voices wrong a couple of times, and I prided myself on never breaking character, so I just start chiming in with one voice for the other, and I was going, and I noticed that there was this like, yeah, and I felt so embarrassed. I really did.
Is this the longest running show that you've ever technically?
Personally?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I remember the first time we saw it, well, together, was at the Griffith Observatory years ago. We were watching it on the ceiling. And I couldn't be happier, even though I had that stiff neck like a whiplash.
It sounds like you're really mad about it, the way you just...
No, do I seem like animosity?
No. You're huggable and adorable.
By the way, Billy does 100 voices. Maurice only does about 99 voices. So.
Are there any voices that people don't know that are you, or that are attributed to you?
I mean, they're all over the spectrum. I'm the country hyper chicken lawyer. I am Morbo, the newscaster.
Yeah!
I'm also Calculon, the star of all my circuits, who sounds nothing like the "you watched it, you can't unwatch it" announcer.
What about, let's not forget about my favorite hedonism bot.
I'm having my bottom dipped repeatedly in the vat of the finest creams and oils.
Oh, you're beautiful.
If you guys had to spin off, this is from Trevor White, if you had to spin off any of the characters that you do, which would you spin off into their own show and why?
Didn't we come close to a Zap and Kiff spin-off in real life?
That's the one we often talked about. We always thought maybe we would do an episode sooner or later that was just as if it was the Zap and Kiff show, following their adventure. Maybe they ran into Fry and Bender and Leela for 30 seconds in the show. But we didn't get to it, so that that question comes up a lot. Also, like what episodes did you not get to that you would do if you came back? So there's one.
Also, the Nixon and Spiro, headless Spiro Agnew. I think they would have been the next choice for their own show.
Callback.
Well, that's why, I think one of the benefits for being a fan and watching something and then getting to watch a show evolve and grow and just like watching the universe expand and watching more characters, go, I want to know more about that character, I want to know more about that character. Were there any characters that you guys really always wanted to get to or have an origin story or devote, but you just never got around to it?
I wanted Lur and Morbo to hang out for an episode, maybe be forced into an apartment together or something, so that people could hear how very different their voices were.
We wrote a scene where Lur, Morbo, and Horrible Gelatinous Blob had a conversation.
Who are completely different.
Yeah,
We never recorded.
And we never recorded.
Morbo the newscaster speaks like this. Kittens give Morbo gas. Lur speaks like this. Oh, I built this castle with my own 2 slaves. Totally different voices.
That's right.
Well, we wrote that in an episode, and you ended up winning an Emmy for that episode without that scene.
That was
in Lur Reconcilable.
I love that episode.
That was a joke, by the way.
It
that
got
we
me an
never-
Emmy.
Yes, I mentioned that. There was a joke I always wanted to do that we never got to, which was having Lur call Unda and have her say, "You're mispronouncing it. It's pronounced nid." Now I know why we didn't do that joke.
I wanted to see in the
I
middle
wouldn't have
of
won an Emmy for that episode.
No, you got 2 of them, my
I
friend.
know, it's enough.
Come on.
I want you to
You've
win
arrived.
one. I want you to win one next year.
Why don't you give him one of yours then?
I will give, if you don't win one next year for the Zoid... Matt, if you don't, Matt is going to...
This guy's lousy with Emmys. He'll give you one of his Emmys.
There's a scene I always wanted to see was in the middle of a Zoidberg Bender fight, because I never got over how funny that was, them wrecking the buildings. And in the middle of it, if Bender just stopped, and that's another thing. Quit calling me Robot.
The episode from last week where Zoidberg finally finds love, I think you should win for that. I mean, that's just a gorgeous episode. Not a dry eye in the house. It's brilliant. Seriously.
First, I got to get nominated, Mo.
I will work on that.
I don't know how to do that.
I don't know how to do it either.
We'll just say you're nominated, and
I'll
then someone on the
pray.
internet will say it's okay.
I'll pray.
I'm being told we have an incoming transmission for some of the other Futurama staff members. Hello?
Hey Chris, we are here to announce the winners of our deluxe Zoidberg Kid Robot figures.
Yes, you may have noticed the writing on the wall by not paying attention to what people were saying. And if you noticed the writing on the wall in alien language and translated it, it read, email zoidbergtoy@gmail.com for a chance to win a prize.
Ooh, and many of you did, and so it's our pleasure to announce the winners. First off, Mr. Chris Ferrari, Mr. Robert Kern, Mr. Ryan Jenkins, It looks like there's a female in there, Miss Yolanda Baker. We're very proud of you. And Brian Smith. These are your 5 lucky winners.
And the big reveal. These Zoidbergs happen to all be signed on the Tushy by Matt Groening.
Oh, wow.
Pretty sweet.
Your eBay value has skyrocketed.
And for all you losers at home who didn't win, the Zoidberg figure is available now from Kid Robot, and you can actually get it for 50% off for a limited time at shop.comedycentral.com. So get one.
Sweet.
Back to you, Chris.
Thank you. Yeah. Congratulations to all those people who were not any of us. I would love to take some questions from our live audience here, since we're all here and we have the opportunity. Yes, sir. What is your name and what is your question?
Hello, I'm Mark, and first I want to say thank you all on behalf of all of us for that amazing final episode. I don't think we could have asked for a better ending.
Oh, thanks.
And my question goes to the voice actors. For a lot of the secondary characters, how do you determine who's going to voice who, and have there ever been any battles to see who could voice what?
We wrestle for it. Guess who wins? That's why I have all the secondary characters.
I think, don't you have like a little, volley for, serve, or you flip it? No, we come up and use who does the best, Richard Denning.
Yeah, usually in the, I'm going to take over this answer because actually the casting is usually done, I'm looking in the wrong place. I'm going to look all over except in the right place. The casting is usually done by the writers. Basically, we have a little chat about any side characters and say, well, it's a combination of factors. We think Maurice would be good for the part, but he's doing 8 other voices, so we think Phil LaMarche would be equally good and he has got less, so we'll give it to him. So we're kind of weighing different factors when we do it. But once in a while, these guys will chime in and try to poach from each other politely. And other times when we need impressions, that's when we actually ask around in advance and say who does.
We'll also recommend the other guy if I go, no, Billy does that much better than me, or Billy will throw to me on
Absolutely.
that. I just want to know what about me made you guys think I'd be a great hedonism bot. This is a natural for Mo. He's 300 pounds and has a deep voice and is the voice of a major car
Maurice,
company.
This character is like you, but you got to just tone it down a bit.
Even less. What is your name and what is your question?
Hi, everybody. My name is Kim. First, I want to say thank you for giving me something great to watch since middle school. Until now. So that was great.
That hurts my heart.
I know.
My parents used to show me when I was just out of the womb. Oh my God, my soul.
Not being allowed. No. Something I love/hate, but mostly love, about Futurama is the constant surprise emotional gut punches. The deep and resounding ones. Did you always know all along that would be a major element recurring in the series? And who was responsible for Jurassic Bark? Because why would you do that to us?
I think that's a David question, maybe?
Jack This actually, I'm going to take it back one season from Jurassic Bark, which was our 4th season. We did an episode called Luck of the Friarish, one of my favorites in the 3rd season. That was our first tear-jerker episode, and we were actually very nervous doing that because we had done mostly goofier episodes at this point. We didn't know if we could go for the tear in the eye, and we did this emotional episode with a lot of flashbacks where Fry learned about his long-lost brother who had been dead for hundreds of years, and so it was a high order of difficulty, and it turned out to be one of the fans' favorite episodes. So that was very liberating. It gave us the right to try for one of these emotional episodes about once a year, would you say we do one?
Yes.
So we did Jurassic Park with Fry's dead dog. That people care about much more than humans for some reason.
Okay, let me say why people care. We killed the dog. Okay, and here's the thing. There's a great Japanese movie from 1987. I think it's called, what is it? Hachiko. About the dog that waits for its master at the train station after the master dies for 12 years or whatever. And it's a real dog and it really happened. I went to see that movie knowing, okay, this is going to be the biggest tearjerker of all. I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry. I don't care at the end when the dog dies. I will not cry. The movie starts, the dog's a puppy, I started bawling. So when it was David and Eric Kaplan, right? Said, we're going to kill the dog. I said, you can't kill the dog. And not only is the dog dead, apparently the dog waits for Fry and doesn't move for a season after it gets snowed on.
No, he suffered quite a bit.
But I have to thank you for that because, you know, I've gotten so much from cartoons over the years, and not from Hammerman or Little Rosie and Tom Arnold chasing each other around in the 80s. but
What a weird reference.
Were you on those shows?
No.
Did I lose those parts to you?
No. You must have been Lenny Weinrib or
Must have
somebody.
been, yes, exactly.
But thank you for that because I've never been moved or evoked to like come that close to like really fretting about this, and I was tearing up because I'm a big animal lover, and somehow in your heart of hearts you know that these cats, which I have, it's not a dog, but I only wish I was half the man those cats thought I was, and I know that they would wait forever. They kind of do, like when I come home after being on the road and stuff, they're waiting there, you know, pointing at the watch, looking up, you know.
I've never seen that
Don't
episode.
look in your bed.
I have never watched Jurassic Park because I cried at the table read. And I went, this show will destroy me. I had enough tears in my life. It's one of the episodes I've never
that
watched.
day, and you were going.
I was like, I can't.
And you know that Jurassic Park was recently voted the fans' #1 favorite episode in a poll that Comedy Central took. So people seem to like these episodes.
They like sadness.
But there's a certain. It's funny. It's the range. The range of response is funny because there's a subset of people who say like. I was watching the episode and it was so funny, and then I found myself crying and I had a tear in my eye, and I'm so angry that you ruined this experience for me. So there's a vocal subset who don't like it.
And I'm afraid to die. There's all 4 emotions.
And then also the Mirror of Mortality and whatnot, and this mortal coil that we showed up.
And happy birthday, John. If you're watching.
Did you get any sort of crazy network notes like, from now on, all tearjerker episodes? Like, how was the network? What was your relationship with the network?
They weren't watching it at the time. I don't think the network.
They tuned in season 4, and that's why they canceled us.
There
They
was
were
no,
sure football was on.
Yeah, there was no awareness that we had that the network was paying any attention to us in those days, because that was in the middle of season 4, right?
Near one of our previous ends.
And it wasn't aired until season 5, which was a full year and a half after we wrote it. And most of the network executives themselves died in that period.
And no one cares about that, but the dog were destroyed. I mean, I think what's obvious is that you guys care about your audience and you care about the fans, and obviously they care about you because they are, they keep rejuvenating the show. And I think that's one of the things when you watch a show is that you don't feel like, oh, this is a show where someone's trying to, make money off me or try to steal my attention for some selfish reason. Like, it feels like you really care about your fans. And I think that's one of the reasons why people love the show.
Well, because the show's real to us. Matt said that right off the bat, and it's real to a lot of people. I think we were somewhere, maybe the Pantages or the Egyptian Theater, doing a panel one night, and Leonard Maltin was the moderator, and he was trying to lead me to get into the Larry Fine stuff, and he kept going and going, and we were talking, and I said, let it go. Because I wanted to talk about Futurama, but when we went out of there was someone that came up and said, I want to thank you guys so much for all of this, and it's very real to me too, but I think that we should take the ship and put it over the gates of Fox. And I said, like this Sunday or something? Yeah, could we? And I was like, that's real. Boy, is that real.
Now, how would Larry Fine have said that?
Boy, that's too real.
I love that it
Hey,
just
Mo,
sort of...
I peed on my shoe. Hey, Mo, you took my money, didn't you? Then it's Shemp. He's come back to haunt us.
It just drifts into Stimpy a little bit. Like
Oh yeah, but that was the basis.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, he had to, he couldn't sound like a depressed old Jewish guy, so he had to be adhere to the cartoon universe parameters, and so we amped him up will you button me, Ren? Like a little Candide, a little cutie pie, little Sally Sunshine.
Are those your favorite characters? The characters that are on the exterior super chipper, but inside they're just crumbling?
No, yeah, because I think a lot about show business periphery when I go searching for voices, and I'll take one voice and the personality of another one and try to cold fuse them, because...
Yeah, didn't you do that with Zoidberg?
Yes, it was, it was an actor named Lou Jacoby,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And you remember in the first Arthur movie?
Yes.
When he leaned into Arthur and he said,
He's the flower vendor.
yes, and he said, what's it like having all that money? And
Doesn't suck.
yeah, thank you, Dudley. He's channeling Dudley Moore. And then there was a guy named George Jessel. The term vaudeville, I'm never sure if anybody knows what that is, because I can never know. I'm old. But yeah, vaudeville. Before there was television, people wanted more out of the theater than just movies, so they went and saw 12 acts. And there was this one guy who was like the Toastmaster General. His name was George Jessel, and he was a marble-mouthed comedian who would just say, ladies and gents, you know, the old corny stuff. But he goes, hello, Mama? Yes, it's your son George. From the money each week? You know, and that's a Yiddishism. But that's, my love of language makes me go crazy over things like that, Yiddishism. And I was in Feline's Basement, which was a store in Boston many years ago, and I had to cut through the women's underwear department at 9 a.m. No, at 9 a.m. they let you off in the basement.
Oh, sure.
So, okay, well, there were a lot of women there. No, but I was walking through, and I did see a girl that was like unbelievable looking, and I went drifting, and then I smacked into a support beam. You know, really, for real, like stunned. And this woman came by and she said, with it you're going steady? And I love that stuff. It was worth the smack in the head, you know?
And that's where you
Brought you Zoidberg.
And you put some of those in the back of your mind, and then that's where you get excited when you get a script, and it's like, oh, I get to dig through the treasure chest of stuff that I've collected to kind of make
and I get to perform better. You know, they had better.
Yeah.
A lot of Yiddishisms. It's like
You know, I want to say, when we cast the show originally, we went through a lot of actors for most of the roles. But Dr. Zoidberg, I don't think anyone came in except for Billy, because he came in and did that voice, which was, we had nothing in mind, really. And we all just fell on the floor, and that part was done. You know, that was the easiest casting.
But we've all heard the marble-mouthed characters, like, you be the dog, you know. And I love that just, you know, I'll do anything to make a sound, right? You will, too. It's like, if you're going to do Alfred Hitchcock, it's like, good evening. Can I share? You know, and I'll do that stuff in the booth. I used to do the Honey Nut Cheerios B, and I would go, Honey Nut Cheerios, it's irresistible. and one guy says to me, that's cheating, you know. Really? He says, yeah, you're not supposed to, I mean, you know, no one can see you. I said, but nobody cares what you do with your hands in a dark booth, so why don't I put a... Why don't I put a construct...
Some people do. Some people do.
No, but I would just grab my throat and do anything. My friend Tom Kenny, our friend Tom Kenny.
Yeah, SpongeBob, Tom Kenny.
Your friend Tom Kenny.
He'll
I love him.
mutilate himself to produce a tone.
Very physical.
Yeah.
Very physical.
But that's why it's like it should be fun. And when you are having fun, and that's why I think it's great when you get to record as a cast, because when you're solo, you don't get that energy. But when you're recording as a cast, you can really tell when everyone's firing on all cylinders, and the cast on the show is actually connecting.
There's give take, and there's you learn off the other actor, and you build the scene.
I go to school every time we went there, because sometimes you're not, you know, you might have had a weird day or something. You're supposed to leave all that stuff at the proscenium. But to come in while something was going on before I got there and see how they were keeping the bar off the floor to these incredible notches higher, and I said, I gotta really be on my toes today. It's the same tide raises all boats, so there was no like, look at that guy showing off, man. He just never stops.
No, you get in it. I mean,
you get into it,
like
and you
the
love
Zapkiff
the guy.
dynamic. The more bombastic you did your thing, the heavier my sigh,
Yes.
and the more you would, try to be even more annoying.
Do it.
The sigh again?
No, do it together. Do everything together.
Kiff, alert the men. I've made it with a woman.
Oh, yes, sir.
There's the spinoff, I'm telling you. Can we do a Kickstarter or something?
Yeah, our next question, Kyle, is the star of the movie Matt Groening the Teenage Years.
I've come back to warn you.
Are you one of those?
They're gonna keep trying to cancel the show.
Are you one of those angry child actors that? Yeah. I've met a few of them.
I have a just question for the writers on the show. I love the science to the show. I think that there's very like Arthur C. Clarke sort of progressed, like looking at all the things that could happen, like Bachelor Chow. But I want to know, is there a scientific concept or a sci-fi concept that you guys could never quite get into like a 22-minute comedy show?
The backwards time guy.
Yeah, there is. And in fact, I was working on a story with one of our writers, Josh Weinstein, who's actually in the audience tonight. But
Josh! Where is Josh? Can Josh just stand up
He
and...
just gave away all those Zoidbergs.
oh yeah, he was.
Oh,
in
yeah,
the
he
other
was
room.
in the
He's
thing.
in the prize
Oh, he
room.
was far
He's
away
doing-
in another building. Nowhere near the
He's
studio.
doing great work in the prize room right now. But we were working on this very complicated story where this character showed up who was living backwards in time and talking backwards and moving backwards. And we worked on it for like 3 days, and it was the coolest science fiction story. But there was nothing funny about it whatsoever. And we finally threw in the towel, which we don't usually do after 3 full days of work. But we threw in the towel. But the one thing we saved is that's the climactic moment of that episode was the forward moving in time people met the backwards moving in time person, and time froze, and they were finally able to interact. So we took that idea and used it in the finale tonight. So there you go.
Nice. So it all. Did you guys know? This was actually this works beautifully with the next question from Casey Killingsworth. Did you know how you wanted the show to end all along, or was that something that you figured out this most recent season?
We wrote the script in 1998. Yeah, I think the show evolves, and we have to.
I don't think we knew how this episode was going to end when we started writing this episode. I mean, there was even debate, or maybe it was just me disagreeing, as to what the professor's final line would be about whatever he says about let's go back to how far back they could go in time.
Right. It's an interesting thing because the only thing that gives you kind of hope in this episode we just saw is the professor's last lines of the show, basically. So depending on the spin we put just on a couple lines, we could have made it very grim or 100% upbeat, but we made it kind of a touching middle tone, hopefully, if you liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I had
What was
the
the
idea.
question?
I had the pitch that he would say, "I can take you back to December 31st, 1999."
Right.
And you said, "Get out."
Right, yeah, we could have essentially negated the entire series by saying Fry is getting sent back to his old life. And it's a tempting idea because it's so cool, but it's also just depressing to think you wiped the slate clean. So
Yeah.
we didn't do that.
But in a sense, like they are going to go back, but he says you're not going to remember any of this time that, all this time that he spent with Leela. And I was actually surprised because I thought they were going to be like, no, we lived the life that we wanted and we're happy. I was actually surprised they were like, yeah, sure, that's fine. We'll go back and do it all again with our friends.
We'll do that the next time.
That'll be the next one. I am curious. That this is from Elisa Sato, who wants to know, who is your favorite guest star on the show?
Wow.
Go around the room.
I liked Coolio. I really did. Oh, Snoop. I wasn't there for that.
You like all the rappers. How about the Beastie Boys? Run too. You left them.
Look at me. I'm clear. You can see my anatomy. It's like I'm very interested in what goes on outside of my Irish-German,
I have a surprise answer to that. For me, I often think of B. Arthur.
Oh wow!
She played the femme pewter who was head of the she was the fembot masquerading as the femme pewter who was the head of the Amazonian homeworld.
You remember her great line? What's her great line?
Oh, I know.
You know it?
It's one word, right?
No, it's a whole line.
Okay, but in my book, it was when she looked up and went, "Rawr."
That was it.
No, I mean,
But what was the line? What was the big long line?
It was. Do you have any idea what it's like being a fembot disguised as a femputer in a man-pewter's world?
And Bender goes, "What?"
and B. Arthur was recording this scene with John DiMaggio. They were there together once again in the room, so I got to see this love scene between Bender and B. Arthur live. And
which you wouldn't be able to orchestrate.
You watched it. You can't unwatch it.
But we handed B. Arthur the script, which, as you just heard, was 99% gibberish, thinking like she's going to just go like, "What the hell is this garbage?" And she put all of her emotion into it. It was so funny. She took it so seriously and did such a great job. That always sticks with me.
Well, besides B. Arthur, I also just want to take this opportunity to have a huge hand for John DiMaggio, who is away on his birthday. Katie Seagal, who's shooting Sons of Anarchy.
Wait, about Katie Seagal. What's your observation about Katie Seagal?
Well, we had a discussion in the writers' room.
Did we?
About Katie Seagal. We suddenly started debating, is Katie Seagal the most successful TV actress in history? I think she's a strong candidate. She's been the star of 4 different long-running shows that are all really completely different from each other.
And all just kind of lead one into the other, too. Like
She hasn't had a big break from being on the air.
She's not had any kind of...
You're tired.
You know, Katie, I forgot she was my friend at the end there because I was in awe of her because I leaned in and I said, Katie, you know, you've never not been a star. And I think she wanted to say, Billy, I didn't bother going into movies. I knew a good thing and I was going to ride it right out. But you know what? Did you ever hear her sing?
Oh, her voice is amazing.
Her band, and do we go see them?
Yeah, we went down to
her band
M
was
Bar to
playing
see her.
somewhere, and she came out at the M Bar, and she reminded me a little bit of Laura Nero, who is one of my big, influences. And I was practically crying. I'm seeing
She's
a
a
pattern
terrific
here.
songwriter too. Her original
Songwriter.
songs are beautiful. They're amazing. They're very Bacharach-like. They're very complex. It's beautiful.
But I said to her, Katie, I hate to, comparisons are a little odious, but Laura Nero, it's given me that same kind of feeling. And she said she was my idol, and I get into that music backstory.
Well, she's great. We had her on our Nerdist podcast, and we're putting it up next week. And it's just the idea that she actually started a musical career and then started working as an actress in television. And then people are like, "What? You do music?" And for her, it's like, "No, that's mainly what that for her. Like that's what she does." But she's done all these incredible shows.
She was a backup singer for Bob Dylan.
Bob Dylan,
And Bette Midler, one of the Harlettes.
Right.
Yeah. So, but she's also just the sweetest, like very sweet.
Super, just super sweet.
So her, and then Tress MacNeille. We should have a huge hand for
Yes,
Tress.
let's do that. Tress MacNeille does what we both do backwards and in high heels.
Yes.
She, to me, what she does is absolutely.
She's the June Foray of our generation.
Every note that comes out of her is absolutely perfect.
Absolutely.
It's just hysterically funny. And the same for Dave Herman. The guy
Dave
vibrates at funny.
Oh, he sure does. One word. If he has one word in the script to say, we break apart.
Yeah,
when
we
he's
still-
on the
we
speaker,
fall
he was
apart.
calling in from Texas
Yeah,
or something.
he's
He'd
funny
be
on
like,
speakerphone. That's how good he is.
Scruffy approves. But just the way he said it was like, why can't
And
we do that?
Roberto. I mean, oh my God.
You talk about someone asked about side characters. Someone's asked a question about side characters that we want to know more about. That's often the doing of the actors. When we write a character like Roberto, the homicidal robot who Dave Herman plays, and we meant it to be a joke that's going to be 5 seconds in one episode, and Dave comes in and invented that ha-ha! That stabbing noise.
And it's so joyful when he does it.
And so like in that 1 second, he made it a character that we brought back again and again.
In fact, we came very close to there being a Kif Roberto spinoff.
Maurice pitching everyone. Okay, how about Kiffin? And it's always like, you need to come with.
Oh, I'm
Good
relentless,
man.
but
I was just going
go
to
ahead.
say, Dave Herman has one of the toughest jobs because, it's like we know what we're going to do every week pretty much, and so I don't have to sweat about that. But he might get assigned, astronaut number 3.
and you'll make him interesting.
But it's hard to just come up with a voice, to pull it out of your place. And but that's real tough to do, is be this ancillary guy that's got, okay, this week you're peanut number 12. Because anything could happen on the
But he
show.
makes you forget the other 11 peanuts. That's how good he is.
No, he really is, and he's just like, don't. I don't know. He wouldn't go out to Comic-Cons. He says, no.
Did this year.
I don't.
Did this year.
He did this year.
We all went to Comic-Con.
I
First
know.
year, the entire cast was at Comic-Con. It was brilliant.
And I was emotional. Usually I want to be a wise ass and be pithy and witty and all that other stuff, but I couldn't say anything except thank you to people.
5,000 people stood up. It was,
I know.
It's unbelievable. So.
Well, that show, the show particularly.
Back to being this.
Oh no, Maurice!
It's all right.
So let's fan him off there. He's going to be okay.
I know.
It's Mom.
I'm still convinced that Futurama somehow will go to season 10. It'll just take us till 2024 to get there. Billy West will be 75 years old.
No, it'll actually all be your heads. Recording
yes.
He'll be
Futurama.
75 years old playing a 30-year-old pizza delivery guy.
Can that be a special?
That'd be great.
Well, it's still like I think the hope for fans is that in Khan's future that you guys will show up together and maybe Khans.
You mean
Comic cons.
Khan? Yes. Okay, we'll do it together. I mean comic. Yes.
That was my favorite guest. Those having the Star Trek cast, those were my favorite guests.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah, that was
And those
phenomenal.
are your jokes.
Was Shatner?
Please.
Was he aware of?
He is not aware of me at all. I created International Talk Like Him Day, and he still doesn't know. Mr. Talk.
Well, we were going to have him. I'm so sorry. We were going to have. He called me. His assistant called me, and I don't know how this was set up. I guess you guys thought I knew him from like the Stern Show or something. And I did mention that, but next thing you know, his assistant calls me. William Shatner is ready to speak to you.
What?
Now,
is there a big roll-up for that?
No, but you know how many people I know in my life that are so capable of pulling an adequate and gorgeous prank like that? It would have been you. But
It was me, Bill.
He went, he said, Mr. West. I can't do it, so please forgive me. But I said, Mr. Shatner. And he said, all right, listen, I sort of understand this thing. That you want me to be Shatner. And I said, well, yeah. He says, but I don't, he didn't want to kind of do that. He wanted to just figure out a new way to go, not as Shatner, maybe as Kirk or whoever.
T.J. Hooker.
But yeah, exactly. And I tried to tell him, I said, listen, you're not going to get the treatment here. We're not out to parody you or do anything like that. I said, this show has more layers than an onion, and it's so cool, and I hope you've gotten to see it. He says, but did you read the script? And to me, that meant he didn't. So he was kind of trying to tell me what it was, or have me tell him, what it was, and I didn't know. I kept thinking to myself, I'm talking to T.J. Hooker, or what, the promised margarine guy in the 70s. He was in between.
His most widely known role.
And your most topical reference so far.
Yeah, you like that?
I mean, the poor guy can't go through a day without people running up to him with a brick of margarine and being like, will you please sign this?
Or get on an airplane without somebody going, there's something out of the plane. There's something out of the plane. There's something out there.
People still probably do that.
Probably do.
Says, can I just please just show you?
And then it's out on the thing.
There's something out of the way.
This would probably be a good, as we're sort of winding it down here, what's your favorite catchphrase from Rob Walker? What's your favorite catchphrase on the show? Let's start with Matt.
Ooh,
do you have one?
You go first. Let me think.
Okay, you think. Do you have a favorite catchphrase?
Excellent. Oh, no, wrong show.
It's one that I actually was roaring at because sometimes we just crack up and it's disruptive. Like John used to laugh so hard when we were recording, we had to send him to the corner, literally, and put couch pillows on him.
He would hold, in the early days of the show, John DiMaggio was kind of just starting out in his voice career.
Right.
These guys made him laugh so hard that John literally had to put a pillow on his face and suffocate himself.
And you still hear.
Otherwise, you'd be blowing takes. Yeah.
But I was going to say the line that really cracked me up right there in real time is, I was shot in the sperm! And I just thought, and I had, when your legs get that weird feeling up like someone was going to saw you from the crotch upwards? You get that weird, So, was it part X-ray and part bullet, or?
Did you
my favorite, it's not a catchphrase, although it became a catchphrase. My favorite Morbo catchphrase moment was when his wife was adjusting his tie and he goes, it's fine, I will destroy you!
Those are ours.
Patrick?
Mine is an obscure one from this season, and it doesn't help that I wrote it, but it was a line from my favorite guest, who I didn't get to talk about, which was George Takei, who has a line, who has a line in the Scooby-Doo parody where he says, "Some do." which is a line that you can use in just about any context to make you seem intelligent when someone has said something that you absolutely disagree with. You can just say, "Some do," and it drove my kids crazy because I would say it constantly, and my youngest son Teddy, who I hope is watching, would say, no one understands that because the show hasn't aired yet. And I said, but just you watch, because when it does, people all across the world will begin to say, "Some do."
Oh, yeah. When he said no one understands that, couldn't you have just right there and then said some do?
You're a better parent than I am.
What about you,
Well,
David?
I said mine before, but also from Patrick Verrone's script, I was going to say, "Shut up and take my money."
Yeah.
Shut up and take my money.
Wait, do that again, but get him on the screen so that people can.
Shut up and take my money.
Now that'll be the new meme with Billy West face.
Well, this is not a catchphrase, but my favorite joke that makes me laugh every time is Zapp Brannigan talking to the men. He goes, "Men, the key to victory is the element of surprise. Surprise!" And then they drop through a trap door.
What a beautiful imbecile. Really.
Well, as we're sort of winding this down, are there any last anything you want to say in parting here on this series finale day?
I'm sorry David killed the dog.
But also just thank you to everyone watching this. It's very rare that you get to say the fans' violent protests actually had an effect, but they did. They gave us this second life, so thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much. Please, thank you guys for being here. Thank you for watching live stream. Huge hand for Matt Groening, David X. Cohen, Patrick Verrone, Maurice LaMarche, Billy West. Thank you for me, Chris Hardwick. My Comedy Central show at midnight starts October 21st. Stop it! And I'm going to be performing at Cobb's in San Francisco, September 11th to the 14th, and in Boston on the 27th. That's my plug. It was an honor to be here, you guys. Thank you so much. Goodbye from the world of tomorrow.